Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I'm slightly sick today, and so if I start coughing while I'm talking, please forgive me. And sorry for my dead voice. I wasn't ready today. So, the Chote Sahibzade, their story is amazing. Can we imagine ourselves at 6 and 9 years old having so much love for Guru that we can say, here, take my life, but don't take my Sikhi away? And this weekend when I came here, when I came to Vancouver, I realized I could never do that. I could never be like the Chote Sahibzade. But we can. We can. Because they're the children of Akal Purkh, and so are we. No matter, if they were 200 years ago, their Shaheedi was 200 years ago, and we're here in the 21st century facing different times, different circumstances, we can still be like them. We can still be like our Shaheeds. And, I was wondering today, you guys are so lucky to be in so much Sangat, so many Gursikhs here that you can learn from. I've only had about 2 Gursikhs actually teach me about Gurmat and lead me towards the Guru. I've only had one Gurdwara in Cincinnati where there's only 3 Dastar Wali Bibiyan and there's only a handful of Gursikhs. And so I want you to not take this for granted, because you never know when you're outside in the real world, you want to be comfortable with who you are. And my story begins with that. I wasn't comfortable with who I was. 2 years ago, I was sitting in the Van Hall, Hukamnama was being read, and all I could think about was, I'm going to kill myself. I'm not worth this space, this air, this life. So I'm just going to kill myself. It's over. That time I didn't know what Guru Sahib had to offer me. I didn't know that Guru was with me. I didn't feel that love. I had no self-respect. I had no self-worth. But I remember, now that I look back, Guru Sahib held my hand that day. I look back now, and I'm so thankful that I decided, instead of going through with what I was planning, I decided to talk to a Gursikh. And I did beinti. I was like, I'm hurt. I'm broken. Can you please save me? And that moment, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know where my life would take me after this. But I knew that I didn't want to lose this chance at a new beginning. And that is what Gurmat had given me. It gave me a new beginning. And it gave me a new hope that I could go on. And so, after all of this kind of emotional upheaval, right, I decided that I was going to go towards Gurmat. It was very selfish of me, I wasn't like the Chote Sahibzade. I wasn't in love with Guru because Guru loved me. I was in love with Guru because it made me feel good, right? It made me feel like I was worth it. And so out of selfishness, I decided to keep going. I decided to wear the star. At first, decided to wear the star only on Sundays. Take it off every time I get out of the Gurdwara and go on with my life. And then when I first started tying my dastar, everyone thought it was a phase. Everyone was like, oh, 2-3 mahine ach normal ho jugi. Ye pata nahi ki kar rahi hai hun. But I still kept going. Something inside of me was like, no, you have to keep doing this. You have to keep going. And slowly but surely, I started falling in love with Guru. And you never know how much love you can actually have for the Guru until you feel it, right? You can sit here, listen to my story all you want, But until you yourself take that first step towards falling in love with Guru, that's when you know that it's real. I was telling the Khalsa camp Sangat, I was like, my words don't mean anything unless you feel them in your own life. And same here, I can tell you about me all I want, but until you decide that you are going to go towards your Guru, then you will understand what I'm saying. And so my journey was kind of rocky, you know. I'm not from an Amritdhari family. I've never known what Sikhi is. You know, my family's been like the Sunday Sikhs, the people that come on Sundays, Matha Tek, and just wait for langar. And it was never important. Faith was never important. Religion was never important. Love was never important. And so when I started going on this path, my mom didn't know what to do. My dad didn't know what to do. They were like, they didn't know what to do with a girl that didn't like makeup. She wanted a gutka instead. You know, I became the girl that would rather sit down and do kirtan rather than go out and party. So they didn't know. They didn't understand me. They didn't understand my journey. They didn't understand my love. But I still kept going. And now I realize that I was being the bad daughter. I was shutting them off from my life. I was like, how dare you stop me? You know? I was like, who are you to stop me from going towards the Guru? And I realized that was wrong. I couldn't do that. Because then I was stopping them from going to Guru. I had to hold their hand and lead them instead of stopping them. And so when I started tying a dastar, you know, after meeting my first dastar wali bibi at camp, I met her at camp and she was beautiful. She was amazing. And I always wondered, how can she love me more than my own mother? I've never met her in my life, but yet she made me feel like I was complete. And I knew I wanted to be like her. I wanted to be that confident, that loving, that I could make other people feel loved. And, you know, keeping her in mind, keeping all of the new Sangat that I was forming in mind, I kept going. And then I started to, you know, stop shaving. And my mom was okay with it. And then we started realizing that I had facial hair. And she was not okay with that. And then when I started keeping my kakars, even though I wasn't Amritdhari, no one was okay with it. I didn't ask my parents. I just called my Virji and I was like, I think I'm ready for my kakars. You should come drop them off. And then when I told her, she was like, you didn't even ask me. You did this on your own. Like, I'm your mother. You should tell me about this. You're my daughter. And I'm like, no, but you don't understand. I need to do this. And so after that, I went to California. And this was also a time where my mom was like, you know, do whatever you want. Just wax your facial hair, you know, remove them. Every time I would go into the bathroom, I would be crying. Every time I had to do that, out of fear that I was going to hurt my mom, I felt like I was ripping a part of my soul. I felt like I was dying. But I still kept going. I knew that one day Guru Sahib would take away this pain. That one day I will be able to keep full breath. That I will accept who I am with my facial hair. And so we went to California, and there I remember sitting in the Gurdwara, and this Kaur walked in, and you know, she had a full dadi, and she was wearing a yellow suit and a black cardigan. She was matha taking, and then she went down and sat right here, and I was right here, and she was playing with, I think, her little brother, and she was smiling. She was happy. And I looked at her and I was like, I don't see her as a bearded lady. I don't see her as ugly. I don't see her as a man. I see her as my Guru Sikh. I see my Guru in you. And that moment I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. And I went to college afterwards. And there was the biggest challenge. And there, people didn't know me, you know. Ithe Sangat de vich, everyone knows each other, right? Everyone knows who everyone is. They've seen everyone grow. And it was the same with me. Cincinnati Sangat knew me. They knew me throughout my journey. They had accepted it. But in college, you know, I'm the only Dastar Wali Bibi out of 60,000 kids. And then I remember telling my Birji, I was like, you know, there's no other Dastar Wali Bibi here. And he was like, he replied very simply, just remember the Badde Sahibzade. They went into battle, just 2 of them, to face an army. And you're one Sikh. You can face 60,000 people. You can face the entire world because Mata Sahib Kaur is your mother. Guru Gobind Singh Ji is your father. Akal Purakh is your source of strength. And I kept going. I still remember, you know, freaking out when people would look at me and they would laugh, but I would assume they were laughing about me. And I would look over my shoulder and just think, oh, you know, they're making fun of me. They're laughing at me because I look weird. And I remember telling myself in the mirror every time I was tying my dastar, you know, people are going to think you're a man. People are going to think you're something else. But it's okay, because you know who you are. You know that your Guru is telling you to do this. You know that your body, your whole lifestyle represents something much greater than your own insecurities. It represents the power of love for Guru, and that is more important. And so, you know, first year of college just went like that, and suddenly it was time for my Amrit Sanchar, and I didn't know when my Amrit Sanchar would happen. I went to Windsor in Canada, and my friend, my sister, she gave me my first chola. She was like, whenever your Amrit Sanchar happens, you wear this. You know, whenever it may be, tomorrow, 10 years, but you should wear this. This is my gift to you. And I didn't know how true her words were going to be. And so Vaisakhi was approaching, and my mom knew. She had figured it out. She was like, my daughter is planning something. You know, kuch kar rahi hai, she's going to do it. And she still came and picked me up from college. And now she tells me, she was like, you know, mera ji karda siga ke main tenu na leke aawa. But like, I went anyway. And I was like, thank God you did. So she came and picked me up. And I asked her in the car and at home, I was like, you've seen my journey. You've seen me fall in love. Can I please give my head to the Guru? And she was like, no, you can't. You can't do it. And I was like, why? Why? You know, you're sick too. You should understand. And what she said, she was like, it's your face. I don't like your face. It's the only problem I have. And then I realized that her love was very, very conditional, very false. Jagat mein jhuthi dekhi preet. Even my love for her was false. We expect our parents to understand, our relatives to understand, our friends to understand why we keep going towards Guru, but they won't. They won't understand. The only person that understands is you and Guru. And so she said no. And I remember going into my room crying, actually, because I was like, wow, you know, my family doesn't support me. You know, Guru Sikhs love me more than my family. And then I did ardas to Guru Sahib. And my ardas is kind of weird because I just randomly talk. So it seems like I'm talking to myself, but I'm actually talking to Guru Sahib. And so I was like, Guru Sahib, if it's Hukam tomorrow, I will wake up. I will wake up at Amrit Vela and I will do Nitnem. And I will go. And I won't care if my parents stop me or if they, you know, try and hurt me. I'll get to the Gurdwara and I'll go to the Amrit Sanchar. And I went to sleep thinking that. And I put 2 alarms, one for 3 o'clock and one for 4. I didn't wake up at the 3 o'clock one, but I woke up at 4. And I knew what I had to do. I had to take a shower, put my chula on. I was so nervous that I only did Japji Sahib. And I live walking distance away from Gurdwara, so it literally took me 10 minutes to walk. And it was really cold, and I remember just walking, and I wasn't afraid. And I just knew that I had to do this. And so Amrit Sanchar is over, and I'm at the Gurdwara, and my mom finds out from an auntie that, oh, vadaiyan, thodi kudi amritari hogi. Bahut kutt pai ho to baad. You know? But then I was like, it's done. I've given my life, my body, my soul to Guru Sahib. And I never looked back. And you know what the funny thing about taking Amrit, receiving Amrit, is it makes you very content. You know, we're always kind of shaking from here to there. We're not really stable, right? And when you make that promise to Guruji, when you decide, you make that decision, it stabilizes you. It's as if your heart is where it belongs. Your mind knows where it should be. And there's no shaking afterwards. There's no second thoughts afterwards. And I remember after the Amrit Sanchar, someone said to me, they're like, you look really, really content. And I was like, yeah, because I finally found my home. I finally found something to live for. I finally found the place, the love that I was searching for, pining for my entire life. And that was it. And then it's all history now. I don't remember being anything other than my gurus, you know. I don't remember the person I was 2 years ago, and I don't want to remember. All I know is today, right here with you guys, I feel loved. And I realize that Gur mera sang sada hai nale. And so I'm not sure if I should stop talking now. And the whole Reddit thing just made me realize that, yeah, people are going to judge you. People are going to not understand. And I would love to take your questions now. Hanji.
Was the person who made fun of you?
He was actually a college student. He transferred to Florida a while back, and he emailed me, and he was like, I'm really sorry. I would love to meet up with you, but we couldn't meet up. Unfortunately, our schedules didn't match. But he said sorry. And that's more honorable than what I did, right? You know, can you imagine saying sorry to someone? You've really hurt them, or you really, you're really rude to them, but you still say sorry. That, I think, is more important than actually defending myself. Hanji. Yeah, actually, my mom and I have made great improvement in our relationship. You know, it's all Guru Sahib. Like, you just have to keep going and things will work out. And my mom, you know, she went to a Gurmat related talk with me in DC for the first time ever. Anything Gurmat related, actually. It's the first time she's been with me while I'm talking about Gurmat. And I remember her, she was like, yeah, I decided to keep my eyebrows. And maybe not her full gish, but that's a great step. And she tells my dad after she comes back from DC, she was like, you know, dekho, you know, log thodi kudi nu like kar dene. You know, they respect her. And she was like, they respect her, and like, I want to be better as well, so that they don't think she's the hypocrite. Because my family's messed up as well. Hanji.
Does your dad say anything?
I don't think dads care. But no, my dad used to make snide comments. He was like, yeah, you know, your beard doesn't look good. You look like a man, whatever. But my dad's just that type of person. I can't take him seriously. Hanji. Oh wait, you already asked a question. Another question.
How old are you?
Oh, I'm 19. I'm in my second year of university. And you know, sare kehnde ne jadon college chal gaye ta like wal kat le, you know, Sikhi chhadti. But it was the opposite for me. I found Sikhi. You know, Guru Sahib found me while I was in college. Hanji. Hanji? Oh, no. Because you know what? We have so many shaheeds like the Chote Sahibzade. Their pain and their torture doesn't compare to one slap from my mom, right? So it's all good. Hanji.
Does your mom understand you now?
My parents are getting there, guys. Hanji.
After you Amrit, right? Did a whole family?
No. You know, everyone's path is their own, whether it be my mom's and dad's or my brother's. And so, you know, they will embrace Guru Sahib when Guru Sahib embraces them. I'm not worried. Hanji.
How old were you when you took Amrit?
This was actually this April 14th of this year. So I'm only 8 months old. Hanji, koi ਹੋਰ question? Hanji.
How much friends do you have? How much friends do you have?
How many friends I have? Well, I have Guru. I think that's the best friend you can always have. I'm not a very popular person. But I have a circle of friends in Cincinnati. I'm your friend. You're my friend. Koi ਹੋਰ question? Oh, okay. Sorry this is taking so long. I really want to answer all your questions.
When did you start Sikhi?
When I went to Gurmat camp 2 years ago during the summer of senior year. So I was getting into my senior year of high school. So grade 12.
What was the name of the two people who you learned when you were little? Who you learned?
One was our Pai Sahib at the Gurdwara. He started Kirtan class. Gursikh, like humble, really sweet. And then we have Japal Singh, who is a Gursikh that moved back to Cincinnati and decided to start a Gurmat class. And so through that, I started learning. But you have so much Sangat here. You can learn all day, every day. Okay, one last question. Do the uncles and aunties have a question? Okay. You're the last person. Make it good.
When did you decide to do Path?
I actually started with Sohila Sahib first. And then I worked my way backwards. Started doing Sohila. After a month or two, started doing Raras. And then started doing Japji Sahib, Jab Sahib, and Tafar Sahib Swaye for one day. And then I was like, you know, let's go all 5. And so I think it was July of my freshman year of college. So when I was starting college, I decided that I was going to do Nitnem all the time. And yeah, I never looked back. Okay, Ji. I think that was the last question. I'm so sorry if I couldn't answer your questions. And thank you so much for having me here. This Surrey has opened my eyes to a whole new world of Sikhi that I never knew existed. And so I just want you guys to go out from here with respect with what you've been given. You know, I don't have this Sangat, and you're so fortunate to be here with people like you who are wanting to be on this path, because it's hard when you're alone, right? And so just appreciate what you've been given, and don't waste any time getting all the knowledge from it. Okay, Ji, Pulchuk maaf karni. I coughed a bit, so I'm really sorry. And if I said something wrong, please forgive me. I'm really new to this, so I really don't know what I'm talking about. And I really appreciate you guys tolerating my rambling. So please, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Sat Sri Akal.